Well, hey there, folks. Bill O'Leary coming to you today to answer the question, how does selling a home affect Medicaid? So in this short video, you're going to learn three things: how a home is treated for Medicaid purposes, what happens if the home is sold, and how to make sure selling the home is not going to result in being disqualified from Medicaid. So let me introduce myself. My name is Bill O'Leary. I'm an experienced elder law and estate planning attorney in Jacksonville, Florida. My firm is Legacy Planning Law Group. So let's jump right into the topic, okay? So look, Medicaid, it's a program that will pay for long-term care. And most of the Medicaid program and dollars are devoted to what's called skilled nursing, also known as nursing home care. Medicaid is what's called a means-tested program, okay? Which means you have to qualify. And Medicaid looks at two things. They look at health and financial situation. And within the financial analysis, they look at sort of two sub-items, income and assets. You can't have too much of either. So let's focus on the assets. The person applying for Medicaid can't own more than, yes, $2,000 of assets. Although it's $2,000 of what's called countable assets, which means Medicaid doesn't count certain assets. They let you, in fact, keep them, and they don't apply those non-countable assets against that $2,000 limit. Your primary residence, the homestead, is a great example. You can keep the home and still get on Medicaid as long as the equity value in the home does not exceed a certain amount. And in 2022 in Florida, that number is $636,000 of equity value. And that number gets adjusted every year. But what if you have to move out of the home to a facility? Is the home still protected? The short answer is yes. All that's required is that you have an intent to return. And frankly, that's very easy to show. Just say that and Medicaid will take your word for it. Just make sure the home is not rented out, because if it is, you no longer have an intent to return, do you? Now, what's also nice is that when you own the home when you die, that at least here in Florida, Florida Medicaid cannot come get the home to try to reimburse itself for the Medicaid dollars that were paid out on your behalf. It will not be subject to what's called estate recovery. Now, what would happen if you or a loved one got approved for Medicaid, but then later wanted to sell the home? This might happen because, let's say, the house is no longer occupied and family members no longer want to, continue paying the cost of maintaining the home, paying things like taxes, insurance, utilities, repairs, maintenance, and the like. I mean, because after all, the Medicaid recipient, you see, can't use their income that they're receiving month after month to pay these carrying costs for the house, because almost all of their income has to go to the facility, sort of as their share of the cost, called the patient responsibility. And by the way, a similar thing occurs when the home is rented out. The rental income has to be transferred to the facility as part of, again, what's called the patient responsibility, and it can't be used to pay the carrying costs of the home. The financial burden to keep the home would then fall on the family members. So when the house is sold, the Medicaid benefit may very well stop, because an exempt asset, the home, has now been converted to a countable asset, cash. The cash will account towards that $2,000 Medicaid asset limit, and in all likelihood put the recipient over the asset limit, which again will cause a Medicaid disqualification, kicked off the rolls. Now, Medicaid has to be notified within 10 days because selling the home is a change in circumstance. So you have to tell Medicaid within 10 days of really putting the house on the market. Now, the good news is that the mere act of putting the house on the market will not throw you off the Medicaid rolls, because Florida Medicaid lets you temporarily exempt a house that has been put up for sale if you make a good faith effort to sell it at fair market value. Now, Medicaid just not going to take your word for it. They'll want to see some sort of proof of a good faith attempt to sell at fair market value, maybe sending them the listing agreement and MLS listing and so forth. And again, also make sure that you're trying to sell it at fair market value. If you have a house valued at $200,000 and you're listing it for $800,000, where you know there's no way it's going to sell for that, that really is not going to pass the good faith test. So is there anything that can be done to prevent this? Yes, although the options may be limited. The options may be limited to prevent sort of the house being sold and throwing you off the roll. So first, Medicaid will not be disrupted if the sale proceeds are legally spent by the end of the following month. And there are ways to legally spend the money. Maybe engage in a Medicaid spend down a plan. Now, there's not enough time in this video to talk about all things Medicaid spend down. That, frankly, is an entirely separate video. Just know that once the excess assets have been spent down, the sale proceeds, and the assets then fall below $2,000, Medicaid application process can be resubmitted. Maybe using those excess assets to enter into a personal care contract. This is where assets are transferred to a caregiver, like a family member. Again, a personal care contract is a subject unto itself. Maybe paying off debt is another way to spend down assets. And by the way, a quick note, where one spouse is in a nursing home and the other spouse, called the community spouse, then wants to sell the house. Well, maybe that's to downsize, or maybe to pocket the cash and then maybe move in with a family member, whatever the situation is. And the good news here is that the sale proceeds will not disqualify the institutionalized spouse from Medicaid, because Medicaid does not check up on the community spouse's assets after an eligibility is initially established. They look at the community spouse's asset one time, sort of a snapshot. So look, if you'd like to know more about how selling a home might affect Medicaid and maybe how we can help, we'd love to talk to you. I invite you to book a free 15-minute phone call with us, what we call our discovery phone call. And it's a chance for you to tell us what's on your mind and for us basically to start a conversation. Scheduling the call could not be any easier. So go to the bottom of this video and click on the scheduling link that's there, or go to our website, legacyplanninglawgroup.com, and click on the book your free call button. Either way, clicking on the link below this video or going to the website, it'll take you to our booking calendar. Just pick a day and time that works for you. So this is Bill O'Leary signing off for now, and go make it a great day and a better world.